What's up?
What's good, Stardust crew?
Nice to see everybody.
It's good to see you guys.
We're back.
We're back. I'm Hank, and this is Lilu.
I'm Lilu.
This is
Cornelius.
This is Cornelius.
Yeah.
We are the officers of the Stardust crew.
Official. Thanks
for coming to our second episode. Today we're gonna dive into some things some veins we kind of hit last time that we struck, and we go, let's dive a little deeper. Today we're gonna talk about meditation versus prayer. Are they the same? Are they different?
We're gonna find out.
We'll find out. Today it's been a Vata day. We're gonna explore the doshas a little bit.
Yeah, Hank, I don't know what that means.
Nobody knows what it means.
Alright.
Unless they watch a lot of Dr. K, or they're like one of those kind of. If you're in woo circles, you might know. People, some of the yoga folks might know. And today we're gonna try to resolve that classic debate. We're gonna reopen the old wound. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I know.
I don't know.
I know that I know.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well.
I'm very confident in my take.
This might be like a biologist talking to a physician.
It might be. Do you want to start?
Yeah,
let's start by drawing a card from your special deck.
We're gonna do a card reading.
We're gonna do a reading to start get the vibe juice flowing.
Yeah, so today's a really special day. There's been a lot of just kind of cosmic activity in terms of like maybe making unexpected connections, perhaps with people you've never met before.
Wow.
Although sometimes, those people you've never met can have a great sense of familiarity. It's like immediately you feel like you recognize this person. So at least, that was kind of what went on for me today.
Wow.
And the deck that we'll be using is called the 13 Moons deck, so it is different from the one in our first episode.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to actually show you the outside first because I'm a big fan of peacocks. I'm from Miami, and Miami has a lot of peacocks. That was a
giant
huge moth.
Awesome.
Well,
okay.
Okay, so it looks that the card that we got, it is called Heart Knowing, Frequency of Black and White.
Why don't we show that to the audience?
Heart Knowing.
Frequency of Black and White. It has the crow?
Yeah.
That's my Eastern totem.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's the East?
Well, that's kind of your primary one because the sun rises in the East. The crow represents law, and what that means in the context of that I understand it. This came from the medicine cards. Law meaning there's sort of a gap between the divine law and the laws of man, and my sort of divine mission is to bring those a little closer into accord, help guide man back toward the laws of the Great Spirit.
Laws of the Great Spirit. I like that a lot. Definitely makes me think of a deep sense of intuitive knowing. That heart knowing. For myself, I do think a little bit about mudras, which is a whole topic I'm sure we'll get into on a different day, more in depth. But mudras are like, a hand symbol that you can make in different traditions, and I do often, without even thinking about it, I do the heart mudra. It looks something like this. And essentially, so this reading today, it basically informs us that it asks us to embrace the qualitative first, and then the quantitative will come to our experience. So you can see there's that sacred geometry. I don't know if you want to show Stardust crew again. Sacred geometry, if you think of, say, the center of a flower, we know that it's a very geometric, quantitative experience, a mandala that happens naturally in the world, but that always comes from a really tender, qualitative experience of grounded miracles, in my opinion. So that's our start for our topic.
Fantastic.
Meditation and prayer.
Okay. I think when we touched on this last time, I don't remember how we landed on it, but you seem to indicate that you sort of saw them as
one and the same.
One and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of the mind. I was like, they kind of strike me as discrete entities.
Okay.
So
I'm open to hearing why, Hank.
I mean, I guess I should go first, right? I mean,
let's dive straight into the heart of the nebula.
If they're the same thing, I mean, I guess I could ask you for a definition. I could say, well, what are they, and why are they the same? But I could I'll just start off with my thoughts on why they might be different.
Okay.
I would tend to look at prayer as verbalizing. I would tend to look at prayer as using language to direct spiritual energy, often to request things. The two, I mean, in the sort of Christian tradition I've been immersed in a long time ago and more recently, I would say they mostly fall into requests and expressions of gratitude. The emphasis on prayer being to verbalize, to use language to communicate with the divine or with the spirit world. Meditation being sort of more about turning off the language circuits, quieting the mind. Not necessarily, not people. I mean, people they hear things and they go down really weird paths and they start getting all self-conscious about, well, I can't think about nothing. It's too hard. And I'm like, well, you see, buddy, that's therein lies the key. It's not about getting frustrated when things come up. It's about seeing what comes up. It's about not identifying with the thought, but becoming the observer of the thought. So it's a little bit about kind of taking yourself out of the frame of language. Prayer, I see, is leaning very much into the frame of language, spoken or written. I mean, you could do a written prayer. You could. I don't see that a lot, but you could just write a letter to God. But that's sort of where prayer, I'd say, is emphasizing language. Meditation's de-emphasizing language. It's quieting the self and sort of making room to receive. Now, I think they're great companions. I think they can be really awesome when they're used together. I think there's also space for maybe something, an area called contemplation, that falls somewhere in between meditation and linear thought, and that can be very helpful as well. But so I see them as just sort of different tools in the spiritual toolkit. Do you have some thoughts on maybe the similarities?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So my wheelhouse, both in my personal awareness, my personal studies, as well as a large deal of my previously academic life, because I already graduated, and then also my professional life as previously a therapist and now a coach. So I have a deep passion for liberation psychology as well as depth psychology. Depth psychology is not very popular in this region of academia.
Rude.
It is pretty freaking rude, honestly.
What the heck?
Cornelius thinks so too. He's pretty flabbergasted, to be honest.
What the heck?
Yeah. So if you look at depth psychology, which has a lot of overlap with liberation psychology, and I'll try to remember to loop back and give some type of brief definition, but this is where we're talking about our dreams, the landscape of our dreams, which is a very visceral and felt experience, and it's also arguably pretty effortless most of the time. Maybe the only time that you're really kind of putting additional effort into it would be lucid dreaming, perhaps, but that would be a whole thing. And so this is that idea that when you're in that relaxed, embodied space, a way of understanding and being aware, that it is not that you are not experiencing cognition, so you can still experience your thoughts and be aware of them, but your thoughts are always connected very viscerally and grounded to your body's experience first. So the grounding comes first. So in that way, if from a shamanic understanding, from my perspective, when I am in that shadow of my body, like, you know, the vast, otherwise unseen realm of my body, it's always grounded. I always can feel my connection to the world around me, and it's always tethered to words in a poetic and a rhythmic way. So the words can be there, and therefore the prayer can be there, always, for myself, as well as the meditation. However, I do really like the fact that you have made kind of a distinction with prayer having a thought process to it and having an impetus or an intention, whereas a meditation can, I don't know, how would you describe a meditation?
Well, I mean, it's not that the prayer seems more, rational, conscious, and again, just kind of word driven. There is often a lot of repetition. I've noticed with public prayer I've been involved in. I mean, one thing I see with prayer, with ministry, and with sales is the perfection of language. With meditation, it may come from there may be like a musical substrate. There may be a mantra there, but it's going to be just like a pretty short series of words repeated, and I'm usually not saying it. I'm like listening to somebody do it, and then I'm a big YouTube and headphones guy, so the other day I did some tribal drumming stuff.
Oh, nice.
Been doing Gregorian chant. So I mean, there's music there. There may be language present. I mean, if it's a percussion, and it's kind of that's there's not really words there. But let's say, I mean, if it's in Latin, it's a little bit like I don't really speak it, so there's definitely something to be said for your liturgical language being something ancient and mystical, and not the language you speak. Whereas I think you kind of pray in your primary tongue. So yeah, I mean, a lot of my experience with meditation has involved some Latin or some Sanskrit, and it's kind of like it's there.
That's pretty interesting.
But it's sort of. I've also done meditation in silence, and it's just I'm sort of like clearing the conscious mind out to make room for stuff to come up. Kind of the idea is for stuff to come up, and sometimes if a thing's really important, it's like go ahead and write that thing down, and then get back into the meditation and see what else comes up. I told somebody that one time. I said, she goes, oh, like I try to meditate, but then I just think of all this stuff I have to do. I go, okay, so write down that thing you have to do, so it's not bouncing around off every corner of your mind. Get back into it. Something else comes up, you can't let go of it. Okay, well, it's probably pretty important. You better write that down too. And if you were making those to-do lists during the course of normal life, you probably would find less need to make notes during your meditation, but it's totally okay. Like, the whole point is to sort of run defrag on your mind. Whereas prayer, to me, I'm like, okay, I'm taking the stuff that's conscious, the stuff that's important, that's in the front of my mind, and I'm spilling it out. I'm just like laying this out before the Lord, right? So it's a little bit like, okay, like, I'm taking my conscious mind and engaging with the spirit world. Meditation, more, I'm exploring the unconscious and I'm receiving the spirit world. And I heard this thing, I've been going to, the soaking prayer service, where you go in and for an hour, I mean, you can get there late, but the whole hour from 7 to 8, you are invited to pray, meditate, reflect, receive, read, and or sleep. Some things do come to us in dreams, and they make room for that. They warned me when I came in the first time, you may hear snoring. People may be sleeping and they're great. And then during one of the talks, they talked about, hey, for every 10 minutes you spend praying, make sure you spend 10 minutes receiving. If you're gonna ask God for a bunch of stuff, make sure you set aside time to receive your reply. I thought that was pretty cool. So maybe prayer to me, maybe to me, prayer is more about sending emails, and meditation is more about reading your spiritual emails.
That's kind of a key way to imagine it.
Thanks.
Just to briefly go back, so liberation psychology is this area that has a lot of overlap with depth psychology. It definitely still works with dreams and symbologies, and it has a very significant focus on culture and religion and spirituality. The person who started liberation psychology was a Catholic priest from Spain. His first name was Ignacio, I think. Nacho. And he ended up, I think, kind of migrating over to, I think it was South America. It was like either Latin America, South America, and essentially one of his big, one of the things he really emphasized in his work was working with a lot of indigenous people and being able to help them cultivate their own ancestral practices. Like, it wasn't so much like, hey, I'm gonna make you all do my religion. It was like, okay, let's hear what your ancestral practices are, let's foster those, let's empower everybody here to be their authentic selves. And it was so threatening to the political establishment because of that degree of indigenous empowerment that he actually was assassinated. Yes, kind of like intense twist there. But liberation psychology, in my opinion, is extremely interesting because it does a lot of work with spirituality, religion, the overlap of it. Here you have a Catholic priest, and he is putting a great deal of emphasis on indigenous traditions, and I think we all have that power to do that. So that's one of the things that's so inspiring to me about it. In the realm of dream work, in this past day cycle, it's been food which has been the message for me.
Wow.
So in my dream last night, it invited me to eat the dal soup that I had at work, and I did. It was pretty good. And then later it was a really big craving for sushi, and I got that too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Was this? Do you know what order this fellow was a part of, Ignacio?
I'm not totally. It might have been Jesuit, but I really was.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Is it Jesuit? But that should be fact checked.
What was his? Do you remember his last name? Did you say?
Yeah.
I forgot. I didn't register. If you.
It's a double pronged last name.
Oh.
And I'm really afraid that I'm
with a
gonna
hyphen?
mess
Okay.
it up.
Don't
Yeah.
worry about that. Okay. Well.
Martin Barreau, maybe? I don't know. I really should
Put
look
that
it up.
in the show notes. We'll put
Yeah.
that in the description.
Yeah.
We're not really to the editing put the text on screen phase yet with this show, but maybe one day. But so okay, so I've heard. Do you have something to?
I was just gonna sum up.
Yeah.
I feel I am always in a state of walking meditation as well as walking prayer, and I feel that when I'm immersed in my own lusciousness of my own embodied experience, I mean really, it just feels amazing. You can feel just such a rewarding inner experience wafting over you all the time, and so it always feels like I'm putting a prayer out there, but I'm not always using thoughts to do it. You know, might be a mudra, like the heart mudra.
I sort of came from that type of thought process. Yeah, I definitely was invited to a way of thinking where, well, hey, you're meditating all the time. You're, I think maybe I was more so contemplating, but I think those can bridge together quite easily. So I was sort of approaching it from that angle, but then if you start hanging out in Christian church, they will, you will be sort of pushed in the direction of, very intentional, very much like time dedicated to prayer. Oh, I was like, are we seeing cars? I feel like our angle is a little bit, could be, hey, at least we got some popo lights there.
And when I look that way, I see lightning. I've been watching it a little bit.
Really? There's lightning over there? That's great.
Yeah.
We could we could work on this angle, but it's I think it's what we got for now.
Yeah, and
this is nice because it's like the heavens above, and
yeah,
it's cool. But yeah, I've definitely been guided back to a space of like setting aside time for prayer. But it's great to be in a constant state of how would you say, spiritual awareness or engagement?
Yeah. It's definitely interesting whenever you have to be in a particular work environment. Maybe if people aren't as into or fully developed into more of a visionary approach, or like I have a very totemic perspective, so I really deeply feel and sometimes observe, the conscious energies that are like around us, maybe like, live in a particular area, or like maybe, you can just see the disposition in which it is, you see somebody's persona. But I love totemism, and I think sometimes when you're going around in the world and you're having a spiritual experience, translating that to somebody that isn't on the same page, it's not easy.
Yeah, I sort of found myself I was at a Pentecostal church like maybe 2 weeks ago, talking with a guy, making friends with a guy after the service, and I started talking to him. He was talking about the situation at work. He used the word demonic, and I was like, he went on, he told me our sister. I was like, okay, I'm gonna need you to like explain what you meant by that.
Okay, yeah.
And then I start talking to him about pentagrams, and I'm like, well, there's a good pentagram. There's a way things are set up. There's a way the 5 elements are arranged, and then you have the inverted pentagram, and that's satanic.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some elements of just like some factions of the church just sort of paint with this really broad brush, and they're just afraid of these tools. Like they're just afraid of like using these frameworks to talk about things. But I have a background in studying these frameworks, so it's like it's hard for me not to bring them up and be like, like, all right, let's talk about pentagrams,
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean.
It's okay, so I've
my hair keeps getting caught on these lights, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
My hair is very thick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a problem, just an observation.
So I sort of heard a thinker, a video essayist kind of talking about like a spectrum, or a continuum, a polarity between religion and mysticism.
Okay.
Okay. Where would you sit on that? Do you have a first of all, like, do you have a reaction to that? Like, do you lean more towards one? Do you see value in both? Do you see, you know?
Well, I don't mean to get too much into the weeds of it, but it might.
That's what we're here to do.
But hopefully the native weeds.
Yeah.
If I was to maybe create that spectrum to where one side was religious dogmatism and the other side was mysticism, then I'm gonna be all the way over here with mysticism.
Wow.
Because I don't think that religion is necessarily the same thing as religious dogmatism. Somebody can be very religious and they can be very mystical.
Okay. So let's say religion, though, is this. See, this is the dividing line. I'm over here on religion side. You're on mysticism side. Okay.
Okay.
Religious dogmatism would be like all the way over here. All the way on the side of the frame, right?
Yeah.
But there would be a continuum
Mm-hmm.
all the way to like. I'm pretty mystical, but I'm still like on the religion side, right? So you might have certain you might have really mystical churches, okay? Churches as totally different as, say, Eastern Orthodox and like Unity Church, both highly mystical and spiritual churches, right? Even though there'd be like, they wouldn't agree on a whole lot of things, right? But they would both be on this mystical end of the religion spectrum. They'd be over here, right? Mm-hmm. And then you'd have like these very non-mystical religions. I think you're right. They tend to lean so heavily into dogmatism that a thinking person, much less a spiritual person, just finds it hard to relate to what's going on there. Somebody who's a really deep thinker has can have a lot of issues in those kind of spaces, right? So but I think over here you kind of, if you're over all the way on mysticism land with no religion, no hierarchy, no structure, institution, and rules, I think things will go off the rails over there too. I think we want to be kind of in this middle. Like, I like religions that are very mystical, and if I'm going to hang out with mystics, I would hope they actually have some kind of religious grounding, because otherwise it's just it's sort of it's just as bad in all the opposite ways as to be completely unconfined by any type of dogma or belief system. I don't know that that's the best thing to just go, it might be fun, I'm a free agent and I'm, whatever, I'm a wild wanderer, but
I will say that I'm 100% feral.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so me being all the way on one side of mysticism, first of all, I would not say it's antithetical to religion, but I would say it's antithetical to dogmatism, in my opinion. Is that when I say dogmatism, I mean just like some rule that is followed blindly.
Thesis, antithesis,
yes,
synthesis. It is antithetical, but they should work together. I think. To me, this guy, the guy I was watching he was basically saying he thought the Catholic Church had historically been able to survive so long because they'd actually struck a good balance between religion, mysticism, whereas you would say dogmatism and just completely unbridled spiritual experience. But as an institution, as a church, they are kind of, if you're hitting the middle, that's pretty good. And he sort of talked about, he said, the thing with religion without mysticism is it's just spiritually dead, and there's not really anything there to bring people in. There's not really anything to, the kids that are there are just like, what is this? It's just more adults telling you what to do. I can really relate. I have a lot of experience in this area with these sort of not these churches that just don't. It's like if there was a spiritual Geiger counter, it'd just be doing nothing.
Right, yeah.
We've all been. I think everybody's been in a church like this, and it's just it's like it's either like a country club or it's just a feel good social media. It's almost like I sort of grew up with Methodists who was like the spiritually not very active. To me, okay, listen, this is a subjective experience. I'm not trying to diss your religion, and there's a huge diversity in congregations out there,
Yeah.
okay? But it was sort of like I had these two poles of not spiritually active churches I went to. Methodists were like the feel good people, and the Baptists that I was around were like the feel bad people. So it was both like not spirit. It was just not the spirituality. I couldn't even give you a definition for that.
Right.
A friend of mine was like, "What is this? What is a soul?" I don't believe in anything called a soul. I don't see any evidence for one. Right.
That is scary.
And I was like,
that's my opinion.
dude, I agree with you. What are they talking about? Spiritual experience came much later for me. Now I get it. Now I go, okay, now I can actually plug in. Even in those churches, I'm like, okay, there's something here. I'll find this something. So religion without mysticism, it's not very satisfying. It's hard for people who really care about things, who really think or feel deeply to relate to. Mysticism without religion, he said, kind of just spirals into degeneracy very quickly. There are, you need sort of guardrails. You need to have some rules when you do stuff. I've never been to these, like the Theosophical Society or any of these things.
Right.
But I'm told there's just you go there and there's just like a naked woman on a table and a sword and a skull and with a snake and I don't know. There's like some apples. I don't know what's going on there. They're like everybody just it's like I'm just saying, like, everybody's just like, yeah, let's get super, like, it's like, let's get drunk on spirit juice. That's not really the way to do it, right? Like, there's something in between, like have you heard the Patton Oswalt's, like, Lucky Charms theory?
No. Is it about cereal?
Yeah, Lucky Charms. Like, there's you're familiar with Lucky Charms. There's the grainy cereal bits that aren't very...
I do like a balance of both. I'm not gonna lie.
You see what he's getting at? There's these things that they're like the oat crunchies, and they taste like nothing. They taste like cardboard, but they're at least they have fiber and they're kind of good for you. And they're over here, and on the other side you have marshmallows, which are just they taste good, but there's no substance in them, right? It's just pure indulgence. So Lucky Charms has that balance of, as you might say, dogmaticism and mysticism. It kind of, you have both in every bite. You get a little bit of nourishment and you get some sweet satisfaction.
Only a leprechaun could invent that.
Absolutely, yeah. They're
Don't be afraid.
Okay.
I mean, you can, but
no. Why would I be afraid?
I also, since you brought up synthesis.
Yes.
Maybe, do you want to try to do that together? Synthesis. I actually have like a symbol that I think draws together these two ideas, at least in my opinion. So I'd love to share that with you all.
Okay.
So I have here something that you all may already be aware of or seen or even worn before. This is a mustard seed necklace.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe you can see it a little bit better.
Nice.
Yeah. And so in the middle, that's the mustard seed, and many people regard the mustard seed necklace as a symbol that you are a person of faith. So I know that there are many Christians who wear the mustard seed for this reason. However, to many people, it is not restricted only to Christianity. It's just somebody of the faith. And that really speaks to me. because I was baptized Catholic. I'm half Italian. The other half is like Polish and Slavic. So there's a whole lot of Catholicism in there, but then that means that there's a whole lot of room for mysticism as well. And it's kind of interesting because when I was young, like a really small child, my dad used to read these Hindu comic books to me, and one of them was actually about a mustard seed. And weirdly enough, it's like the only story out of all of these like dozens of Hindu comic books that I actually like remember the kind of most of the story. And
Wow.
as the story goes, so I don't think this was specifically a Christian story, but I'm also not going to say entirely that it's not. Essentially, so somebody loses like a family member, or like a dear one in their life, somebody that they really love dies, and they go to this deity, and God basically says, if you want this loved one to come back to life from the dead, all that you have to do is find a mustard seed from somebody in your community who's never lost anybody ever. So, the person the protagonist in the story is like, oh, okay, perfect, easy enough. And they like start, door knocking, and
all too familiar.
and it turns out that everybody they spoke with had lost somebody at one point or another. So that was the moral of the story, is that they were not meant to bring that loved one back from the dead for whatever reason. It was that person's time.
Mm-hmm.
We may not know entirely why, but that was kind of the lesson of the mustard seed. So I wanted to show this particular symbol because I do think it's very sacred. And for me personally, it brings together that story of like people of the faith that believe in prayer, and for some people that can be meditation. I do greatly appreciate that you call it contemplative practice, or you called it contemplation.
Yeah, I didn't. I may not have used that exact phrase, but yeah, contemplative practice. I would concur with the usage of that phrase.
That's
that would be consistent with. So the Christian parable of the mustard seed, I know, has to do with essentially this being the faith of a mustard seed. Are you familiar with this?
No, I really would like to know.
It's basically, y'all saw how big a mustard seed is. It's maybe a couple millimeters in diameter. Black mustard can be a very huge plant. Okay? Let's ask the Goog. How tall is black mustard? Why doesn't it respond with its voice? Is it because I have it on silent?
I don't know.
2 to 6 feet. So you can get this big old
It's
plant.
taller than me.
Yeah. Right. So that seed can grow into, hey,
That's powerful.
we started as a single cell.
Yeah.
But the seed can grow into something quite large. What's kind of interesting is if you look at all the brassicas, not just mustard, they all come from a seed that's that shape and size.
Oh, wow.
So a seed, that was kind of my personal parable of the mustard seed, is you don't necessarily know by looking at the seed what you're going to hatch into. Like you could take a seed like that, you could take a little brown seed that's that size, and that might turn into a broccoli, a cauliflower, a collard greens, a kale, a turnip, a greens turnip that doesn't make a root. It might turn into a Brussels sprouts. It might turn into, right? By looking at the seed, you can't tell. You can tell by the seed packet. Sometimes those are wrong.
And you said it's a brassica?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mustard's a brassica, and then all those others are brassicas. You have rutabagas. You have rape, aka canola. You have our favorite. I love when you watch a video about like seed oils are bad, and they just keep they're the main argument against canola oil seems to be the name of the plant. They're like, would you eat a plant called S.A.? Would you eat a plant that's named after that? We shouldn't say it a bunch because the censors are going to come for us. We shouldn't even say it, even though I don't know that the algorithm has the context. So, but anyway, all of these are. There's something called the triangle of U with the brassicas. Maybe I'll show it to you, and then maybe you know what we should print. Maybe we print it out, and we'll have visual aids for the people. Maybe we'll revisit the brassicas and the triangle of U. But yeah, I had never heard that parable of mustard. I just had my little personal one and the one in the Bible.
One thing that I was curious about as well was, do you think that meditation connects to hot dogs?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'll read this really quick. This is from Matthew 13:31-32. I guess I'll just read that because it's just a little. It says, Jesus told his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches."
Wow.
Humble beginnings, incredible growth, inclusive refuge, faith and perseverance, right? It says this parable illustrates how the kingdom of heaven starts as something small, even insignificant, but grows into something immense and powerful, offering refuge to many.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, you would say the church started with one guy, or maybe two. I mean, you had the forerunner, you had the John the Baptist.
No, you
you
make
know
a
what I mean?
good point.
You
Yeah.
had a founder. You had it all. Everything started as a, the McDonald's started. We started with the McDonald brothers, two guys and their little idea, and then it.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just curious. I mean,
hot dog. What?
I mean, it's in the realm of how
Mustard.
hot dogs are.
It's not really a hot dog without mustard, is it? I mean,
I do really enjoy mustard on my hot dogs, and I mean, hot dogs are a sacred topic.
absolutely. You want to dive in?
Yeah, but I think you're gonna be upset with me. Like, not really, but my opinion, I think it might be pretty different than yours.
That's why we're here.
Okay.
I'm this. This is. Let's see if we can meet in the middle.
All right, Stardust crew.
Supernova.
But yeah, so where are you at with it?
Hot dog's a sandwich, man.
All right, are you ready to buckle up?
Yep.
So we're gonna go all the way back to the primordial hot dog,
Okay.
and
We're going to the world of the Platonic world of forms. We're going to the
yes.
essence of hot dog.
So I need you to understand that the hot dog was actually born from the pig in the blanket.
No.
I'm just let me get through the story.
Citation needed.
Yes.
Citation desperately needed.
So first, if you imagine the primordial form, it really was just, it started off as a ball, kind of like a dumpling, and then after a couple years, the pig in the blanket emerged. You kind of saw the little hot dog peek out from the breading.
Is this historically accurate?
This is the truth. And then you fast forward a couple million years, and the dog itself is like very fully formed,
and it escaped.
It's had enough freedom for the bread part to kind of like part the seas,
To not be cooked in the bread.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's no longer a blanket situation. It looks like a sandwich, so I understand from a surface level perspective it would look like a sandwich, but here's the thing. It's like how bats fly and birds fly. It doesn't mean that their wings came from the same. It doesn't mean that the wings came from the same place.
Convergent evolution.
Right.
Okay. You're saying hot dog and sandwich converged on...
No, I'm saying hot dogs emerged from a dumpling state. From the primordial dumpling.
dumpling evolves into pig in a blanket, evolves into hot dog.
Yes.
I just don't know that that's historically accurate, but it is interesting that like tree, like let's go to botany land for a little bit. Tree, that's a form, not a family. Shrub, vine, ground cover, vine, twining vine, tendrily vine, liana, bush, shrub, tree, like those are forms, they're not families. And that's an example of convergent evolution, right? Like they found it somewhere, plants in not very closely related families independently discovered how to make caffeine, there's convergent evolutions everywhere. And maybe it comes from, obviously like somewhere in the Akashic record is the caffeine recipe and they pull it out. So when you're talking about lineage, though, I think that often something like a hot dog, I think that's a work of synthesis. I think it's drawing from the sandwich form as well as perhaps the dumpling form. You're getting really abstract with it, but
I'm just talking about the primordial dream. Look, I accept that you see it as a sandwich.
See, most people, I wasn't ready for this because most people start talking about definitions.
Right.
Most people say, oh, a sandwich is between two slices of bread.
Right.
And I go,
yeah,
hey, have you guys been to...
We haven't even talked about how the beef frank was conceived within the pierogi, you know what I mean?
What? Let me come at it with my logic for a second, okay? You've had your mystical origin story. I've engaged you there a little bit, but let me explain where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I would like to know.
You guys ever been to you guys ever had a hoagie, a hero, a sub? Are you really gonna tell me that's not a sandwich?
Oh, that would be wrong.
That's a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So it can be on a singular bun split. The two slices of bread definition is just too narrow, right? So there you go, hot dog. And they go, no, it's more like a taco. And I go, what's making a taco not a sandwich? Is it a tortilla, not a mystical bread that's just really floppy? Is it not just a really floppy bread? I mean, it's like, I don't care. You could call it. How is a taco not a sandwich? Maybe I'm a little too broad in my definitions, but. The thing I thought of earlier was, let's say you're in New York, you're in the bodega, and you go, hey, let me get a hero. And you go, wait, no, hold on, no, give me the Kaiser roll, give me the roll, do it on a roll, right? You can get, it's usually like $1 cheaper. You go, no, you know what, I can't eat a whole hero today. Put it on the roll. And so they take the Kaiser roll and they split it in half. Now you have a roll. Now you have 2 slices of bread. You took a single piece of bread, you divide it in 2. That's 2 slices. Now it meets the sandwich criteria, right? It's a sandwich because you have 2 slices of bread. Because again, people do use this definition when they argue, even if you're not doing it. Let me just make my case here.
Yeah.
Let's say the guy behind the counter making your sandwich. Let's say he stops short of slicing all the way through that Kaiser roll, but he leaves a hinge. Does that now change the category of what you're eating? The fact that there's a hinge still attached on the edge of the Kaiser roll? Because when I'm at home and I don't cut all the way through the bread versus I do cut all the way through it, it's the same thing, like,
A door without a hinge is still a door.
Case in point. We got one right here. I don't know what this thing's doing. We got a door just chilling on the.
The other thing
chilling right here. You all can't see it. We'll. Sorry.
No, it's all good. The other thing I was gonna mention.
Sorry, we can't show you guys, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Stardust Crew. I wanted to mention that I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this author Paramahansa Yogananda, but he wrote the autobiography of a yogi.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Of a yogi. Although I do love Malcolm X, but
the autobiography of DMX as told to Smokey D. Fontaine. Is that what? Sorry.
No, it's
Autobiography
all
of a Yogi. Okay.
good. And so the card that we started with, it does remind me of that book a little bit because, I don't resonate with every single word that he writes in that book. However, a lot of it is pretty dope because he talks about meeting all these saints that live in India over his lifetime, and some of those stories are pretty trippy. I really would recommend the read. But he talks about, like, famous physicists as well, even within, I guess you could say, the Western world. And there's one in particular, and he talks about the playfulness between light and shadow and how spiritual it is. And so it really reminds me very much of this image. Because as somebody that is a very shamanic type of practitioner, person in this multiverse, I am most familiar as kind of with like shadow work, kind of being in the unseen dwelling of my body. However, I very much appreciate the light, which I see as the mirror of my existence. So I just figured that was a good little lasso to all of the topics.
Sure. We got you got a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a shaman?
Yeah.
Me too.
Dang.
So
this is nice.
Let's bring back meeting of the shams.
This is a true nebula.
So let's get our spectrum here. Okay. So we have no. My question was, you have your dogmatism, and we have our pure, our what do we call this? Our unfettered mysticism, our just completely
feral nature.
Completely feral nature. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I call it.
But that would be guided by sort of base desires, right? I mean, if it's just. Or what's going on? I mean, we're opening.
I mean, I would say it's very maternal. It always involves a sense of generosity and taking care of others.
Great. Okay, so there's a level of social and moral development to it.
Yeah, that's very intrinsic. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Intrinsic, how so? I mean,
you are intrinsically always meditating on I am embodying the most ethical, the most creative. The greatest, the most maximized me that I can ever be in every nanosecond of every part of existence. It's just this fierce beingness in life is a feral quality. An immersion and a dedication to being immersed in one's experience.
Okay. I don't know if that just natural. I don't know if that spontaneously occurs. I mean, a Quaker might say so. They would, they talk about a lot about inner light and just everybody sort of has Christ within them, just intrinsically. Others are like, well, there's a lot of you gotta kind of work at this, right? Other denominations have kind of other thoughts, but I mean, it doesn't. What you're saying doesn't sound unchristian to me. It just, my question here though was, now go get over there. That's the whole spectrum, right? All the way to the side of the screen, right? We have this spectrum, and then we have this middle. Actually, my question was, where does shamanism fit on the spectrum? And it could be a range. It could be like, okay, right here's the middle, but where are shamans on? Because inherent in shamanism is sort of this idea: I'm providing spiritual guidance, right? Like, I think a really dope pastor is, again, very disciplined and belongs to an institution, but he's also very mystical and awesome. But where are shamans on this spectrum of, say, dogmatism to feralism?
Well,
You know, I mean, religion is this side, right? And dogma, the more dogmatic you go, you're like all the way at the edge, right? And mysticism is this side, and feral is all the way at the edge, right? So where's your target? And what is the range that sort of encompasses shamanism?
well, like, you know, a shaman, they always come from a place of warmth and compassion, a place of deep heartfulness. And so, um, when it comes to, I guess, you know, religiosity, if somebody has all those things, it doesn't really matter um, what that person considers it to be. I'm not saying that what they consider it, what the label is insignificant, but they still are a shaman. So it's like if you have a priest of any denomination and they sit in that deep place of compassion for others, that's an authentic well of really caring, that's always like very warm and familiar in almost like a timeless and eternal type of way, then they're a shaman too.
So you're saying essentially the entire continuum. I don't want to say spectrum because technically a spectrum is kind of more three-dimensional. A continuum is we're just measuring kind of say one thing, right, from end to end polarity. But you're saying basically somebody could be a shaman anywhere. They could be like over here I'm dancing naked in the moonlight, and they could be like I'm a Baptist preacher, like over here. Like that could be a
As long as they
that
have
could be a
as long as they have a genuine caring for people and they're true to who they are, then yes.
Okay.
And it makes me think about how you connect very deeply with the plant world.
Oh yeah.
You work with plants a lot. I really could imagine that you very much feel the life that's in those plants. And I think that is very similar to kind of what we're talking about, because like when you're talking with humans, you feel the life in them. I met somebody earlier just today and she was like, oh yeah, I like, you know, immediately felt your energy. And I think we all know when there's a special presence there, when we are amongst, you know, somebody with a very warm way of being in that place.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, this is coming out of left field, but Cornelius tells me that they're getting kind of restless. They might go home.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
We could save doshas for another time.
Yeah. I think Hank.
I had one. Yeah, go ahead.
Hank, I think that's a great topic for
Another day.
for our other video blog.
I think we did a good. I think we did well today. I had one. I had one more note. I was watching. I was watching the one we did last time, and then I thought I sort of came up with like a conspiracy theory.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little nugget.
I think maybe you knew that I was gonna watch the thing a lot, and that I would be through that. I didn't realize it till I was watching it, but that then I was gonna be developing a parasocial relationship with you by watching our content.
That's true.
Yeah, and I probably watched it more than I think I probably watched it more than you did. So that could be kind of problematic going forward. So I gotta be careful.
Parasocial. I think that's pretty dope though, because
It's kind of it's kind of also something I got up my sleeve though. You know.
well,
We just got to get you to watch it more.
that makes me feel encouraged though, because that means that we're hard at work by that pizza shop in the dream world.
Yeah, that's true. I'm definitely showing up.
If
Do you want to?
if anybody is unsure what I'm talking about, I really would recommend going back to episode 1.
Go to the 5-star dimension.
Yeah, 5-star dimension.
Yeah, just watch your first episode. Do you want to do a
actually-
closing card or?
That's a great idea.
Okay, great.
I'm actually wearing 5-star shorts right now.
Can I just
Yeah.
Okay. We have the priestess.
Wow.
What can you tell? There's no caption. What can you tell us about the priestess?
Well, I kind of like that it says priest, like it's like priest.
Oh,
and
the priest
priestess,
/s.
Because that's kind of like
beautiful.
that's like you and I.
That's both of us.
Yeah.
Wow. Shamans too.
It's true, and I like that she has a whirlpool, a spiral on her kind of like torso, because the spiral is a sacred symbol across many domains. Often is a symbol, some say, of fertility, just kind of an abundance of life.
I think creative, or source creation energy, and the wellspring of life, right?
Yes, I don't know if you happen to know this, but there's
It's a pretty sacred gift. Yeah.
there's a word in Gaelic that means wellspring, and it's Wayland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that is really I think the spiral is an invitation for us to relax into the vastness that lives inside of our bodies, and all of the ways that we can meditatively or prayerfully contact all of the warmth and benevolence of being in the multiverse, in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for pulling the priestess.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into our episode today. Y'all rock. And this is Stardust Crew.
Signing off. Until next time, folks.
Yeah.
It's been great having you.
That was Cornelia.
Thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah.